records break when I appear. Work been tough for all these years. Now the crown is close, it's clear. Winning season, persevere. Push even harder. Aim only higher. Steps turn to gold. Rise through the fire. All eyes on me when I run. Stacking wins, I'm never done. On the field, I'm number one. Pressure heavy, weigh a ton. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Welcome, everybody. It is Sunday evening, and we have now finished with all our Premier League games. And what a weekend it's been. I want to say a big, huge welcome to everybody joining us this evening. It is a roundup of all the weekend's matches, what has happened, who's finished on top, who hasn't. Hi, Jim. Welcome for joining us. I thought I'd jump on a bit early today because lots has been going on and there's lots to cover. I mean, there's so much news all over the Premier League, and I'm going to do a regular show every Sunday evening to just round up everything and conclude the weekend's fixtures. Of course, when there's football on, I mean Premier League football, of course, next week and the week after, we've got the international break, the dreaded international break. But look, once we're back in the Premier League, we will again do a show like this. It kind of rounds up everything. It kind of just settles everything down, and we can discuss what's happened in the Premier League and what United have done, what results. We can just kind of discuss with the fans, essentially, what they've thought about the result. Yesterday, of course, we had an early kick-off, 12:30, and it was a kick-off away from home against Spurs. It was a tricky game. It was always going to be a tricky game. A game that everyone knew wasn't as straightforward as it might look on paper. Look, they've got Thomas Frank in. He's changed the team around. He's making them work hard, and he's a good manager. He's a manager that actually knows how to set his team up, get the best out of the team, and also react in live time. So immediately he could recognise that United were very comfortable in the first half, and he made a lot of changes in the second half that affected the game, and he took credit for it. You know, he came out and said, look, I take credit for the substitutions I made yesterday or today when he was doing his post-match press conference, and he was saying, look, I'm happy. I was happy that I affected the game, and he did. His substitutions were very good, and he made a huge difference to the way Tottenham were playing, because in the first half they got zero chances, as in zero shots on target. They did try and make some chances, and they weren't really good. They weren't good. I mean, first half, I was relaxed. I was enjoying the game, in fact. 1-0 up, and I thought, right, we're coasting. If this is how they come out second half, we will get this win. And I think lots of other United fans were thinking exactly the same. Watching the game, I've heard from many fans, they were like, we were in control of the game. We threw that game away. That's what most fans thought. I'm of the opinion we didn't really throw it away. We just had to deal with a different team in the second half, just like we did with Forest. Yes, it is worrying that we gave a lead away again. I mean, once we get in the lead, we need to learn how to turn the screw and just shut off the game. Just turn it off. Do either a park the bus job in these kind of away matches, or go out and get the second goal. For me, obviously, going out and getting the second goal is a must. That's what we need to do. But there's been a huge fallout from this game. We'll discuss that. We're going to be talking about Sesko. I mean, what's been going on with Sesko is madness. What's been going on with Matthias Cunha, is absolute madness. I mean, the stuff I'm hearing is just ridiculous. I was actually on social media all day today, kind of looking through what's been going on and the fallout from the game. And you'd think we'd lost about 5-0 or something. What is going on? It's like heads gone moment for most fans. And I'm pretty level-headed. Look, I'm level-headed when the game's finished. I mean, whilst the game's going on and I'm watching, I'm really emotional. That's why, hence, I never really did a lot of watch-alongs, because I could say things that might upset some fans and might upset some viewers when I'm doing a watch-along, because I'm emotionally reacting to the game. However, after about a couple of hours, and I've digested the game and looked through things and like kind of settled down, I come to the realization that, look, we did well. We did well. Now, some fans will be like, no, what are you on about? What the flip are you on about? We drew. We should have won that game. But we've got to take the positives, because that's the only way you're going to move forward. I don't get how we can start whinging and crying about things and then have this thing of like, look, we're going to move forward. How can we move forward if we can't let go of the past? That's what my issue is. Dave, welcome, you legend. How are you? I hope you've safely arrived back home. You were obviously out there yesterday giving us live updates, so thank you very much for that. Obviously, going as an away fan is no mean feat, all the way to Spurs, and to watch, as you call, the fossil football. That's my new saying now for Spurs. Anything to do with Spurs, fossil football, love it. Bro, I'll tell you this, at halftime, Spurs fans were having head losses. They weren't even seeing if they could even score a goal. Most of them took their time before going back to their seats. Yeah, in fact, I thought exactly that, Dave. I was watching the game and I was thinking, wait up, the players are coming out for second half, but the fans, no one's come back yet. The seats were completely empty. Left me totally confused. In fact, I for a moment thought that they're not even going to come back. I thought they've had enough. I thought, right, that's it. They've walked off. They thought, right, okay, let's get home early because we've lost this game. It was crazy to see how few fans returned for the second half immediately. But look, United were the better team, clearly the better team, and I'm taking these positives. Look, you guys might think I'm being a bit, positive or just kind of being extra, but I'm looking at it from a fan, and I'm emotional. I want United to win, but then at the same time, I'm looking at it and thinking it could have been much worse. It could have been a 2-1 defeat, and it wasn't. So for me, I'm happy with what we ended up with. Of course, when we were 2-1 down, I was kind of shouting, screaming, swearing, whatever. As you do as when you're watching your team lose, you're not happy, especially when we were coasting. We were coasting, but after the game ended and I reflected on what happened and what changes were made and how Ruben Amorim brought his substitutions on and at the times that he brought them on, it made me realise that we have got shit players. We've got shit players. We can't blame the manager for not having good enough players. That's our recruitment. That's happened over many years before even Ruben Amorim came in to the Old Trafford. Before he came in and started to cook with the team, we brought all these players in. Yes, the players that he's brought in are Mbumo and Kuna. Sesko, I'm not quite sure whether it was his choice, but of course he had some say into it, and yes, he's brought Sesko in. But we'll come to Sesko in a minute, because for weeks I've been saying Sesko needs to be given time to settle in. He's not settling in. He needs time. He needs a bit more people around him, training him, telling him exactly what to do, how to play, because he's clearly struggling. He's clearly struggling from coming from the Bundesliga, coming into the Premier League, where as a striker you do not get any time. You have to create your own time, and you have to take those chances, and you have to be clinical. You have to be composed and clinical at the same time, and you have got no time to dwell. And we saw Sesko hasn't got up to speed. He simply hasn't got up to speed. Is that his fault? Not really. I mean, yes, he needs to start playing better, but do we criticise him and just say that he's not good enough to play for Man United? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because he has the basics to be a very good player. We cannot repeat what we did with Højlund. I mean, I saw some fans today saying, oh, look, Højlund was better, we should have kept Højlund. What's all that about? Seriously, what are these fans, what are they smoking? Dave says we need to buy a midfielder in January. It's crazy that there's a total downfall when Amorim makes subs. With that being said, most of the Spurs fans were thanking Amorim for the result, not Frank. You're probably right. Look, when we got the subs brought on, that for me was a massive difference from what we were playing like before and what happened to us immediately after Casemiro went off. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Casemiro. I'll be honest with you. I'm not being like someone who's loved Casemiro over the seasons, but clearly this season he's come back with an intent. He's come back with looking like he's been working out during the pre-season, looking like he's kept himself in shape and he's trim. And then he's broke into the Brazilian team again with Ancelotti. So I don't know what it is, but his confidence looks like it's peaked again. He's captaining Brazil, the international team. So he's going to the World Cup for sure. He's going to the World Cup. So he is looking like a player on a mission. He looks like a player that is ready to put himself on the line for Ruben Amorim. And that's what we're getting from him. But immediately, as soon as he gets brought off, because clearly Ruben Amorim feels like he can't give him more than 60 minutes, because Casemiro kind of slows down a little bit, or maybe because Thomas Frank brought on so many substitutions. He brought on Bentoko, he brought on Tell, he brought on Udogie, who was going through the middle very easily. He was just walking through the United midfield. That's why I thought, oh, maybe he's brought on Ugarte to give us a bit more legs near the end of the game. But it was a complete... we fell off, didn't we? We fell off. You could see it. You could see it. Like Dave says, you could see the difference. It was like night and day from what we had before we made the substitutions and immediately after. I thought he brought on Sesko a bit too early. I thought he should have left that a bit later. Mount should have been brought on, and clearly he did. So Mount was great. He had a great cameo appearance, in my opinion, again showing what he could offer United. But there's some fans saying, look, Mount should be playing ahead of Kuna, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe so. I believe Kuna is still very important. In fact, I was shocked that he took Kuna off. I think he should have left him out there. Kuna is very important, especially when it comes to the latter stages of these kind of games where you need to hold the ball, and he was like fantastic against both Liverpool and Brighton. That's what he offers us. He offers us that outlet which you can pass the ball to and he will hold on to it. That's why he's so important for us. But the criticism that Sesko's getting is just silly. It's silly. And I don't know who it is, how they come to that conclusion that simply to write off Sesko is absolutely not what United fans should be about. United fans should be behind every single player. He's a young kid. He's coming from the Bundesliga. Of course he's struggling. Let's just accept it. He's struggling. But you don't go after your own players. We've got many rival fans who hate on us anyway. So why would we join in on that bandwagon? Surely we should be sticking together as fans and sticking with our players. We can criticize them. I'm not saying don't criticize your players, but you do it in a constructive way. You don't just bloody bury them and say, look, right, that's it. It's end of Sesko. We need to go and get somebody else. No, we don't. We don't need to do that. However, saying that, I was saying it during the match, and I've said it during the summer transfer window, and I'll keep on saying it, which was that United should have gone out and signed a secondary striker, someone who was Premier League proven. We should have gone and got someone like that as well for these kind of matches. Because look, let's be honest, away matches are difficult in the Premier League, and you need someone who can physically cope with it, mentally cope with it, a striker who's probably Premier League proven. And Sesko isn't that right now. He will get to that stage, without a doubt he will. But we can't shoot him down right now. He's coming. And what my criticism is of these kind of fans who are saying, look, no, Sesko's completely out of it. No, we should sell him or whatever it is. I'm thinking, wait up, why don't you just look across the road? Look at what's happening with Liverpool and Wirtz. You know, he's from the Bundesliga. Look what he's doing. How much do they pay for him? You're not hearing Liverpool fans saying, let's sell him and let's get rid of him and blah. No, they're not. So we need to keep our heads about this draw. It wasn't a loss. It wasn't a huge defeat. Even if it was 2-1 and we lost, I think we should still have kept our heads. But we got a result. We went and got, with 10 men. That's flipping astonishing, guys. With 10 men, we went and did a job. Spurs should be embarrassed. Spurs didn't even hold out for a minute. I mean, that's how embarrassing. I mean, which team cannot hold out in injury time? It was ridiculous. Dave, you say, crazy, ain't it, that when Casemiro gets hooked off, we look horrible. Sesko has to be more clinical and hit the first time. I'll still give him time though. He's an upgrade on Højlund for sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. That's exactly what I'm like. I was critical during the game. I was shouting at Sesko as well. I was like everyone else. Like, I was saying, look, what the flip are you doing? You need to finish them chances. They're simple chances, especially the second chance where he had like almost like an hour to decide what he's going to flip and do. He was running onto the ball. It was a brilliant ball through. It was one-on-one essentially with the goalkeeper. All he needed to do was take that shot immediately. Do not think about it. And I feel like he's just overthinking it. And he went into this kind of time zone where he just stopped for a moment, and you could see him just moving in slow motion, not knowing exactly what to do. And Van de Ven obviously slides in and takes the ball off him, and in as a result, he also injures him. And look, whatever his chances that he's not taken, yes, you can be critical about them. I am, and so should fans be. Fans should be critical about him not finishing, and you can quite easily say that. But I think you cross the line when you start saying that that's it, it's over for Sesko. We need to get rid of him, and he's a complete failure, and we need to go get someone else. Absolutely not. I mean, like Dave says, I agree with you. He is an upgrade on Højlund. He's an upgrade. Whether you like it or not, he's an upgrade on Højlund. His first touch is a lot better. I think he holds the ball up a lot better. He just needs to get those chances in the back of the net to increase his confidence. He needs to really have a game where he scores a couple of goals and really gets up to speed with what's going on in the Premier League, because it is not easy. But once he gets up to speed, this boy is going to turn into an absolute ruthless striker. That's what I can see. He's got the basics. He's got everything that you need to be a top striker in the Premier League. So we just need to tweak a few things, give him time, and he will come good. Now, I wanted to go through a few things. Lots happened in the Premier League, obviously, this weekend. Lots of crazy matches, lots of crazy results. We'll go through them in a minute. But before we do that, of course, we obviously cannot finish the show without talking about Liverpool and their game against Man City. If you don't know the scoreline already, they got absolutely battered. And well, it always makes for a nice weekend when you watch Liverpool get battered. I don't know why. I mean, look, we've got Man City who are doing the battering, and most of us fans would be like, what is Man City? So you can't overly be happy. But I don't know why, but just Liverpool getting a loss is always a nice thing, no matter who's doing it, whether it's Man City or anybody else. I don't know why it puts a smile on my face. Maybe for you guys it does, maybe not, but that's what it does. But 3-0, they got battered, man. They got absolutely demolished away from home. And the problems continue. The problems continue at Liverpool. And that's when I look over at Liverpool and think, look, we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well with the squad that we've got. We're doing pretty well. But we do need reinforcements. Desperately, we need reinforcements. We can see the holes in this United team. Any fan can see where the problems are. Casemiro goes off, we struggle. We need a striker, because we cannot rely on a young striker to come in and get us the goals, because that's putting undue pressure on Sesko, and I think that's what's getting to him. I think if he didn't have the pressure, I think he'd come on and play well. But I think because he knows that everyone's watching him, everyone expecting him to be the guy to score all the goals, and he's not getting the goals on a regular basis, I think he's a little bit stressed out. He's stressed out and he's overthinking everything. Anyway, coming back to the guy who's not stressed out, the guy who is actually doing an absolute crazy job for United. The man of the moment is, of course, the one and only Mbeumo. Brian Mbeumo. 12 games, 6 goals, 1 assist. What a player we signed. I mean, to score that header as well, it was no easy goal. I was absolutely shocked that he got that header. That much power on it. As a small guy he is, he's not big statured guy. He's a small guy, but the amount of power he put in from that distance and to get it past the goalkeeper, it was a fantastic goal. Loved watching that. And then just he's calm. He knows what he's doing. He's all about scoring goals, being in the right time, right place, and he does everything what's expected of him. So he's been fantastic for United. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Obviously he got player of the month for United, so that was fantastic as well. So again, his confidence is sky high. I'm just fingers crossed he stays fit for this next period of games that we're coming into after the international break. It's going to be a very busy period. We're going to have lots of games. We're going to have all our best players working and fully fit. And that's why you end up needing a deeper squad than you think, because there's lots of games in the Premier League. Every player that joins the Premier League from a different league always says the same thing. We play a lot of games. It's non-stop football and it's tiring. So you do pick up injuries as professional footballers whilst you're going through, obviously, in the cold, in the rain, when you're playing these games, you're not fully warmed up in the cold weather, and that's where your injuries occur. Look, for me, we do need at least 2 or 3 new players in the January transfer window, and we have started getting reports that Ruben Amorim is putting his foot down, is saying that he must get at least 2 more players in the summer, in the January transfer window. Jim says we should have a striker and Sesko be back up and learning off him. Yeah, absolutely, Jim, absolutely. During the summer transfer window, when I heard Sesko's going to get signed, I said, right, okay, brilliant. Let's go and get another one. Let's go and get another striker. Let's go and make it another, because every top team has at least 1 or 2 or 3 striker options. We've only got the one. And it makes no sense to me, because this was going to happen. Sesko was going to get injured. There was a likelihood that him coming into the Premier League he's gonna find it physical. He might get pushed about. He might face defenders who want to show him who's boss, and they might come in for him. And this was expected. I was expecting this. But what I wasn't expecting was United not having a backup option. They should have gone out there and signed anybody on the cheap. I was calling for Mateta. I was kept saying Mateta. Mateta is the ideal second striker, if not our first striker, leaving Sesko to come on as and when we need him, and slowly he can have a transitioning period where he can come in this season but not be expected to lead the line. I don't get why every fan has lost that capability of realising and thinking that that's how players are adapted and brought into the side. Look back at our great sides of United sides. Whenever we signed a new player, he'd never come in immediately. It'd take time. In fact, Fergie would take months to integrate a player in. I remember Cristiano Ronaldo, when he first came on the scene, it took him ages to come in, and even though he was performing well, he wouldn't get game time as much as you think he did. He wasn't being brought in every game. He wasn't a starter. It's only in the last stages where he started playing for United on a consistent basis. Other than that, he was being brought on and he was carefully introduced to the Premier League. And I think that's what we're not doing anymore. We're not doing that because of the pressures of having to play these players, because fans get on the back of you. And even I did. I mean, when Sesko wasn't playing, I was like, oh, I want Sesko on, I want Sesko playing. But you've got to understand that they have to be slowly brought in because of the pressure, and knowing full well that if they don't do well, what's going to happen? The fans are going to get in the back of them. Fans are going to start complaining. Fans are going to say he's washed out. He shouldn't be playing. Blah blah blah. He shouldn't be there. Dave says also, why is it that after about 60-70 minutes played we look gassed out, yet we only play 1 game a week? We really have a gem in Mbumo. He's causing havoc in both wings. Do you know what? I said that as well. I said we're only playing one game a week, and Spurs played on the weekend. No, sorry, Spurs played on the week. During the week, they played against Copenhagen, and they didn't look tired. Some of their players were ready to go again. They were ready to go. So why did we look like we needed rest? Does not make any sense to me. Does not make any sense. I expected Casemiro to stay out on the pitch. I expected a few of the other players like Kuna to stay out on the pitch. Why was he brought off? Why were these guys brought off that early? I have no idea. I don't know whether it was just that Ruben Amorim was looking at the game and he was thinking, right, they're gonna now have much more of the ball, and we need to put on fresh legs to stop them from attacking. And that's probably his thinking behind it. But I think he got the timing a little bit wrong with the substitutions. I think he should have waited. I think we were doing fine. We were comfortable as we were. Yes, Spurs were trying to get in our faces, but they really weren't playing expansive football. They were doing what Spurs do, and they were kind of shit. They were shit for 75, 80 minutes. They were crap, man. They didn't even threaten us. I was comfortable watching that game, and in the last 10 minutes, I was like, right, okay, we just need to see out this game now. Let's just park the bus and see out this game, because clearly we're not going to go for a second goal. So let's just make sure we do not make any mistakes, and we kind of did. I mean, it was a good goal by Tell for the equaliser. I mean, De Ligt did hold himself responsible, but I thought he was being a bit harsh on himself. I think it was a difficult one to defend. Of course, Tell fresh, and he's very good at turning, spinning around, and he's done that many times before. He does that fake step over and then goes back again on the other side. That was a great move by him. De Ligt shouldn't hold himself responsible, in my opinion. I think he's been fantastic this season. We don't want him to start kind of thinking that he's not good enough. He's been sensational for us in the back. He's been our best centre-back by a country mile. And then Jim says, Ofcon will kill us. Yeah, you know what? I kind of, it dawned on me during the game on the weekend, and I was like, oh look, Ofcon, and then I thought, oh my god, our whole right side is going to disappear. I mean, I have no idea how Ruben Amorim's going to manage without these players, because right now, if you were to pick our two best attackers, it's Mbeumo and Ahmad. Mbeumo and Ahmad are our two best attacking players. They are the ones, if you put them forward, they're the ones who are threatening the goal the most. They are the two players that you expect to score for United. Then of course you've got Kuna, but he's not very attacking. I think he's been asked to do more of a defensive role. Same with Mason Mount. When he comes on, he's been asked to drop back in the midfield. Bruno's not scoring as many goals as he was doing in previous seasons, obviously, because he is having to stay back and sit back in the midfield and protect the defense. Same thing with Casemiro. So we're not getting much goals from anyone else, and that's my only worry as well. For a good team, you need goals from everywhere. You need goals coming in from your wing backs. You need goals coming in from your midfield, and your strikers, your midfielders, cams, whatever you want to call it, need to be chipping in and getting their goals. Yes, we got Mateus and we got Casemiro scoring against Brighton, and that was good. That was a really good performance, because you can start seeing other players chipping in, but consistently, Mbeumo's the only one who's scoring all the goals for us, right? And then second, it comes in as Ahmad is another one who is a threat. In fact, I've said it many times. I feel like Ahmad's been wasted when he's asked to do that defensive duty. I think either you play him wing back and say you've got the full liberty to just go and attack, and you don't need to do any defending, or you just do not play him in that position. Just play him further up on the pitch. Play him in a different position. Play him strike. Play him somewhere else where he can do more damage than sitting him in defence and asking him to do all the tracking back, and which he's not good at. He's not good at that. So why ask him to do a job that we know he's not very good at, and we're going to have to sub him and bring on someone like Dalot. And Dalot is, the classic Dalot. He came on and did jack shit, and he was rubbish. Dave says, mistake we did was playing to the momentum. What we should have done is still control the game and kept the pressure on. This reminds me of our win against Liverpool in the face-up with Ten Hag. Absolutely. Do you know what I recognise, Dave, straight away in the second half is that we came out and we started playing at their tempo. And I said, oh, it looks like United have now slowed down the game and they're playing exactly the same tempo as Spurs. And we're trying to mimic whatever they were doing. But we should have played our own game. It was working. It was successful. We were doing really well in the first half. And I think if we kept at that game, I think we'd have gone and got another goal quite easily. Look, it would have been a different story if Sesko put one or two of those chances away. If there was a few other chances, I can't remember who else got a chance, a very good chance. I think it was Bruno Fernandes. If we'd put them chances away, it might have been a different story. So again, United just need to be a bit more clinical, and I think that would have been a win for us. It would have been an easy win, and we'd have been talking about how good United were, but we're not putting our chances away. We're not being clinical enough, and we are still missing that focal point, that striker that everyone can rely on to get all the goals. Sesko, unfortunately, might be out for weeks, if not months. Now, we have got an update actually on Sesko's injury. Now, it says here potential recovery time. So he's had the MRI scan apparently today. Points towards an irritative overload knee problem than any ligament injury. Now, if it's a ligament injury, he's going to be out for a long time, right? Okay, so we don't want it to be a ligament injury, but we're not 100% sure what is going to happen and what the kind of injury he has sustained. There's some predictions there about how long he could be out for. If it's 2 weeks or 1 week, look. Let's hope it's short. Let's hope it stems the entire international break and he can come back and he can be ready to go again and fit. Whether then he's been brought on and he's going to be played, I think he should be brought in slowly and he should be given time to rest, and we should be playing our 3 main attackers as we started with Kuna, Ahmad and Mbeumo. Them are the 3 strikers or attackers that we should be playing with. Let me know in your comments below if you disagree. Some people are saying Mount should be starting ahead of Kuna, and that's the other thing. Actually, let's now look back at the fallout we had with Kuna. I have no idea where this came from, but apparently there's lots of fans who are kicking off about Kuna not playing well enough. I mean, I'm not sure where this has come from, but there's loads of fans kicking off saying Kuna's not good enough and he shouldn't be playing and Mason Mount should be playing ahead of him. Again, I'm not seeing that. Am I the only fan watching it the wrong way? I mean, I look at Kuna and think he is very, very good for us. He's a solid player for us. Does he cover much ground like Mason Mount does? Maybe not. Look, Mason Mount is someone, if he's 100% fit, covers a lot of ground, does a lot of running, lots of hard work. He does the dirty work that no one else really wants to do. But also Mason Mount, we know, look, going forward, he's, I believe, not as good as Kuna. I think Kuna can pull something out of the bag that you're not expecting. But again, look, it's a good problem to have, personally. I think it's a good problem to have, having both Mbeumo and Kuna and Mason Mount to choose from is a good problem. And that's exactly what we should be like in every other position on the pitch. But we're not really like that. For me, Kuna has to start, and right now I think when we're talking about Ofcon, of course Mason Mount and Kuna are going to start for us without a doubt. They're going to be our starters for that period of time when there's all these players who go off, and the potential is that they could be off for at least a month and a half, which is crazy, right? That's a lot of time for them to be off, and that's going to be a lot of games that they're going to miss. We will need someone else to step in, and that's when others have got the opportunity to step in. Other players have this time to go there and start doing. Now, the games we're playing after the international break, it's interesting because we need to look at them. We need to look at them and assess what's it going to be like when we come back. What games are we looking at? Are they going to be difficult for us? And let's have a look. So we got Crystal Palace away. So that's not going to be an easy game. Crystal Palace are firing right now. They're on fire. So we're going to have to turn up for Crystal Palace. I've said it already many times. There's no game in the Premier League now that's easy. Absolutely no game. I mean, look at the likes of Sunderland. Look at what they're doing right now. They drew against Arsenal 2-2. This is what I'm saying about no game. You can't. And now when we're looking back at our win against Sunderland, and we did really well against them. So that's why you've got to put everything into perspective and realise that every game that we've played, we've done pretty well. Now that 3-0 defeat against Man City doesn't look too bad, does it? I mean, if Liverpool got battered 3-0, we did pretty well then. We did pretty well. I'd say, look, we got away with it. We of course we should have actually made it a much tighter game, and we didn't. But that is a blip, and we should be doing a lot better at the Etihad. But Liverpool getting beat today shows what we were facing. Anyway, then we got West Ham, at home. That's a must win. That should be a win. Wolves away from home. That should be again a win. Bournemouth, tricky, but I think we've got enough to do a job on Bournemouth. And then we've got Aston Villa. We've got Aston Villa away. Aston Villa this weekend, they played pretty well, actually. They played pretty well. Can we do a job on them? I think so. I think look, again, it all depends on the way United are lining up and who's still in the squad. Whether Mbeumo comes back early or not, I'm not wishing Cameroon bad luck, but I am hoping that, look, he's not spending, a time out there and going all the way to the final. And it sounds pretty nasty, but my priority is Man United. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, even if it's English players and they're going away with England, I'm still a United fan. I'm looking at them thinking I want them to be rested. I want them not to be featuring in these friendlies or whatever it is that they're playing. Yeah, look, I get it when it's the World Cup and I get behind whoever I'm supporting my players and whatnot from United, but then. When it comes to these matches and in international duties, whilst we're in the Premier League, I'm selfish, guys. I'm gonna put my hands up. I'm really selfish. I'm like, look, these are Man United players. We're paying their salaries, and they're going away. I don't want them to be worked hard. I don't want them to be picking up any injury, because we're gonna have to pick up the pieces, not the international team. I mean, they're not gonna care. So we're the ones who are at a loss, even though we're the ones who are paying for it. They're not bloody getting insured, are they, by England saying, "Oh, we'll pay you for any injury that they suffer and any consequences of them not being fit after playing for England." There's no such thing like that, is there? So. And the same goes for players playing for Cameroon or playing for Ivory Coast or whoever it is that they're playing for, Morocco, whatever. I mean, Mazraoui, another massive loss. Another player that I look at and think, I don't want him to bloody go away. I want him to stay. He's literally just got fit. He's just got fit. Why do I want him to go away and get injured again? I don't want that. I know it's selfish. I know it might not be the things that you want to hear, but this is me being honest with you guys, and I'm sure you guys out there can understand where I'm coming from as a United fan. I only think about the best interests of United and only that. So when it comes to United, nothing else is before and whether it's international duty or whatever, I don't care. I look at it and think, well, look, United, what will suit United is that these three players say, look, we're not going to go away. Of course, you can't expect them to do that. That's their international duty. They will want to play again in their tournaments, and the AFCON is a huge tournament now for all the African nations. So yes, I want them to go out there. I do want them to do well, but I'm also not going to be too upset if they get knocked out in the first round and they arrive back. I mean, one of them, two of them coming back for me would be great. As long as Onana's in goals for Cameroon, I think we might be in luck. They might get knocked out pretty early. But anyway. For me, yes, I want them back. I want them back as early as possible so we can carry on. Another player, actually, I wanted to talk about a little bit more about was Bruno Fernandes. Now, during the game, I was angry. I was saying, take Bruno Fernandes off. He's not good enough, blah, blah, blah. But he did come up trumps and get the assist. He does that. He keeps on doing that, man. He keeps on getting the assist that late in the game. And if you're watching the watch along with me, I was highly critical of Bruno Fernandes and his flipping corners. I mean, every single corner he was taking, it kept going to the first defender right there, and he kept clearing it. I was thinking, what kind of rubbish is this? Why can't you pinpoint the corner and get it over the first defender? I don't understand. He's a top player. He should be able to do that. He's a top player in the Premier League. And finally, when it actually mattered, he got that. He got the ball over the entire defence and on the head of De Ligt. And it turned into a goal. It was a brilliant header by De Ligt. But look at this guy, man. He's 29 chances created, 3 assists. I still feel he's been wasted at the back. You might disagree. Let me know what you think, but for me, I feel like he's still been wasted in that position. I feel like Bruno Fernandes needs to push up a little bit more, play higher up, but then how many players can we afford to play up front? How many players can we afford as attacking players? Because of course, we're lacking one huge thing, defensive players. We haven't got any apart from Casemiro in that team, and he gets shown up. Then immediately when he doesn't have that extra man in midfield, he cannot handle everything himself. we are going to have to go out without a shadow of a doubt. We're going to have to go out and sign a new defensive midfield player in the January transfer window. It's an absolute must. And I already know from sources that United have already been working weeks before this, have already been working on signing a new midfield player. They are looking at Adam Wharton. They are looking at Elliot Anderson. They have been in contact with Carlos Blaber. They want these players, and they're not just putting all the eggs in one basket. So they're not just simply looking at Carlos Blaber and saying, that's it, we're going to head off and get Carlos Blaber as our midfielder. That's it, it's a done deal. No, they're not. They've kept the avenues open for every single midfielder that we're talking about, and they've got a plan A, B, C, D. They know that even these three options might not happen in the January transfer window. So Carlos Blaber, Brighton might not accept an offer or in the region of 80 or whatever million that they United might be likely to be putting forward. Although Carlos Blaber, we're hearing reports, wants out. He said to Brighton that he wants out in January. He's not happy at Brighton. We don't know whether that's official or whether that's behind closed doors, and his representatives might have said this off the record to Brighton, but that's what we're hearing. In case of Elliot Anderson, it's a long shot, and the reason why I'm saying that is because not because he might not want to join United, it's because of the owner of Nottingham Forest. He's not going to allow players to be sold. He is on a man on a mission, and he wants to keep everybody, and he wants Nottingham Forest to kick on and become a top club. But can we just maybe make an offer too good for them to refuse? And then of course we've got Adam Wharton for Crystal Palace. He's having an absolutely phenomenal time at Crystal Palace, and again the problem lies with whether Crystal Palace will allow him to leave in the January transfer window midway through the season. That's the biggest question we've got with these players. Will these clubs allow these players to leave mid-season? Because the problem isn't just about letting them go and cashing in on these players. It's about going themselves and buying a replacement. Will they be able to go in and buy a replacement? Why would they want that stress? That's why they'll probably want to keep hold of all their top players. That's why there is a plan D and an E, and it goes on because United are aware that they might not be able to get their men in the January transfer window, and it might have to be a short-term loan. Although we have heard from Ruben Amorim that he does not want short-term resolution to this issue. He wants a long-term a player to come in, someone who can join the club and then go on to become a regular for the first team. I agree with that. There's no point wasting money on bringing in a loan, a short-term gap option who's not fully committed to the club, not really going to put in the best of performances. And let's be honest, loans, I personally think, never really work out because, they're crap players. No one is going to loan out a player unless they don't want them, right? Okay, or they're surplus to requirements and they're not playing in the first team. That's the only reason why they get loaned out. But we do need to bring somebody in. Let's hope that United can actually do something in the January transfer window, because if we don't, we're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle for the rest of the season. We're already struggling. Right now, you can see Amorim is trying to rotate the players, trying to get the best of both worlds. So playing Casemiro for a short while, taking him off, trying to bring in somebody else and managing the game that way. It's not really working. It's not really working because as we saw from yesterday's game, there's a huge drop-off from where we're playing at, and then suddenly we make the substitutions, Casemiro comes off, and boom, we go right below. I mean, Ugarte is simply not good enough. His awareness is not there. He's got no stature in that midfield. You forget he's playing there. In fact, you don't even see him. He's just not got the presence that you need to control that midfield. So we are in need of reinforcements. January is going to be massive, absolutely massive. As a transfer window goes, I think it's going to be one of the biggest ones. But there's some positives. Guys. The positives are coming. We've got Martinez back in training fully now. He could have featured against Spurs. There are some question marks over why Ruben Amorim didn't even bring him along because he's fully fit, fully training, but Ruben Amorim doesn't want to risk it. But then we're hearing that he's going to jet off to join up with his international team and take part in training with them. I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure about this. Why would he do that? Why can't he continue his training at Carrington? You know, why would you risk him going out, flying to Argentina, and then you've got no control over whether he actually gets some game time or not? Then it's up to his international coach, the Argentinian coach, whether he wants to play him or not. And there might be a possibility that he throws him on. Might be like, oh, you go out, go on, have a run out, go on. And then you're at, you know, then that all that resting that we've done for him could completely go out the window. But I mean, again, it's a difficult one because you have to get the player back up to fitness and get him back playing and get his confidence level back. But how and when do you do that? Do you throw him into a full-on match in the Premier League, or do you let him go and play in his international team and maybe it's a less stressful, less pressure situation, and maybe he can just slot in there and, you know, get some game time? I don't know. Again, we'll have to see how it pans out for Martinez. Dave says, we are being linked with so many players, yet we don't know how much money we have for a potential January and summer transfer window. In your opinion, what players look feasible in January and summer? A good question, Dave. I mean, for me, I don't think the budget is an issue. What I've heard from several sources is the money isn't an issue. If the right player comes along, United will be prepared to pay for that player. And I'm not talking about 70, 80 million. If the right player comes along and they have to pay in excess of 100 million, United will get it done. That's for sure. So that's their approach. They're saying, look, if we get the right player, we will spend 100 million plus and get him in. Of course, it might not be 100 million in cash or whatever. It'll be, obviously, they'll have some payment plan and there'll be some add-ons and things like that that might just stretch it over the 100 million mark. And when I'm talking about the 100 million mark, I'm looking at players more in line with Carlos Blaber. I don't think Adam Wharton's going to be priced at that much, and I definitely don't think Elliot Anderson's going to be priced in that category as well. I think both of them valuations are probably in the regions of around about 70 million. About a year ago, I mean, Adam Wharton was valued around about 40 million or something, 45, 50 million. So he's jumped up. Of course, he's having a great season. He's got great potential. There's lots of talk about him breaking into the England team as well. Of course, with Elliot Anderson as well, two future stars for England. So yes, these two are hot property right now. Everybody will be after him. One thing I have to say is that it's not just us who are looking at these players. So it doesn't really make a difference whether we've got the money to buy him, because we might not be the only club looking to sign these players. And because we haven't got Champions League football, these players might say, well, why the hell would I join someone who's not got Champions League football? So we have to sell the project to them, sell the dream that, look, you're going to play for United, we're going in the right direction, we're going to break into the Champions League. And come January, that's why it's so important for us to be sitting in the Champions League spots, for us to be in the top 5 in the Premier League. It will show the players who are looking to join United that, look, United are going in the right direction. We're already sitting in the right spot to qualify for the Champions League. So yes, need to do something like that. So then it makes it easier for United to go and sign the likes of Adam Wharton or Carlos Blaber or whoever it is. I mean, these three names being mentioned because we don't know who United are going to actually sign. We don't. I'll be honest with you. What I've heard is that United have been in constant touch with Carlos Blaber and his representatives from the summer transfer window. They've essentially told Blaber that they're going to come in for him. They've told him that, look, you sit there, you wait, we're going to come in when the time is right. When they made some initial inquiries with Brighton about signing him in the summer, Brighton were absolutely adamant that he will not be sold no matter what offer is made. So United didn't make that offer. it left, obviously, Carlos Bleber distraught, even though he's not shown it, but clearly in his football he is showing that he was not happy and he wanted to leave. But anyway, so what we've heard since that deal didn't go ahead in the summer transfer window is that United told Bleber that to carry on and they will come in for him later on, whether it's the January transfer window or the summer transfer window, but he wants to join United. Now the problem is that United are seeing what he's doing right now on the pitch and it doesn't look good. He's not playing to the best of his abilities. And there's two other names that in the Premier League who are having the best seasons of their life. Elliot Anderson, we saw him against us in last weekend, and he was insane. He was absolutely brilliant. He actually shocked me. I was watching him. I was like, whoa! I wasn't aware of your game, Elliot. Seriously, I was like, whoa! I put some respect on Anderson's name here, right? Okay, I was like, whoa. I obviously heard good things about him, watched him a couple of times, but wasn't expecting him to put in a performance like that, especially seeing Carlos Bleber the weekend before. So you can do your comparison directly. We saw Carlos Bleber the weekend before, and he looked like half the player he was the season before. And then you come across Elliot Anderson, and the guy was absolutely brilliant. He shut up shop for Forest. I mean, he did not let Mbumo get anywhere. He didn't let Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes get into the game. And in fact, he even shut off Kuna. So he was essentially managing 4 players of United, and he was shutting them all off. So he had a brilliant performance. And then there's Adam Wharton, and we will clearly see after the international break what he's made of. So we will get to see all these players that we're looking at to sign. We'll get to see who is the very best at right now. Who's the very best player right now? I'm slightly pessimistic about going and signing someone like Bleber. I mean, in the summer I was all for it, but right now I'm thinking, shit, we bring him in, and if his performances don't improve, we're gonna get done for, aren't we? We're gonna get absolutely laughed off the pitch. That's what my problem is. I'm thinking, look, we need to be careful with Bleber here because he's not having a great time. Yes, we've given him our word, but I think we need to be looking at him and thinking, right, is he worth the amount of money we're going to pay for him? Can he turn his form around? And we can't wait around thinking, right, okay, he'll have some time to settle in. We need for whoever joins us in January to come in and absolutely start cooking the moment he gets onto the pitch. We need someone to hit the ground running. We cannot afford any type of transition. That's the problem. That is why we need to go out there in the January transfer window and get someone who is good enough to come in straight away. And you say, in your opinion, what players look feasible in January and summer? So, look, I think the most obvious choice, I think... If I'm looking at any of these 3 players, I think it would be Brighton who'd let go of Carlos Bleber. I think they'll be more inclined to sell him. I think Crystal Palace, they're already light on their squad. I don't think they're going to want to get rid of Adam Wharton. We saw what happened with Mark Gui. That's not going to happen. I think Crystal Palace are going to say, no, if we do a deal, it's going to be in the summer. That rules out Wharton. Then we come to Elliot Anderson. I've already told you, I feel like Nottingham Forest, he's exceptional for them right now. I cannot see the owner sanctioning that move away from Forest for Elliot Anderson. I think they're going to sit on it, and if any move does happen, it will happen in the summer transfer window, and that I think will have to be forced through by Elliot Anderson. I don't think Forest will let him go by their own choice. James says Shaw did that last year and he came back injured. I remember that. I remember when Luke Shaw went off international duty, and we were like, right, look, he's always bloody injured for us. He's always injured, and we're there now, slowly helping him to recover, and he's finally got himself fully fit, and he goes off to international duty and gets injured, and then we're doomed for. I think sometimes these new generation players need to consider what they're doing. I remember a time when I think it was Scholes or something who didn't go off to international duty because he was like, look, I need to commit myself to the club. And yeah, because the club's the one that's paying him. The club is the one that's paying him. So you've got to make that decision. what's more important? Do I play? And I think there should be something in the contract as well, saying like for players in their contracts, it should be like, look, if you go off to international duty and you get injured, we should be able to withhold your salary. We shouldn't have to pay you for that injury then, because you've not picked up that injury in the course of playing for the club. So why are we responsible for your salary during that recovery time? That, I think, would put the cat amongst the pigeons. That would make these players think twice about going away on international duty when they're not 100% fit. So yeah, for me, it's a tricky one, guys. I know that might sound controversial to a lot of you, but like I said, I'm Man United first, so everything else comes after. So international duty for all these players, yes, I understand it's a privilege. I understand that every player wants to dreams and wants to play for the international club and the international team, and I'd probably be the same if I was a professional footballer. I mean, when you dream of playing football, you don't dream about just playing for your club. You also dream about winning the World Cup. You also dream about being the best player in the world. And yeah, I guess that's what you want to do. Talking about playing in the World Cup, what's happened to Kobbie Mainoo? I mean, we heard from Ruben Amorim pre-match against Spurs that, oh, look, he's an important part of this team and squad. But then he didn't even come on. He didn't even come on against Spurs. Big question marks on Kobbie Mainoo. Watch this space. What I've heard is that he is definitely leaving in the January transfer window. He's going to force a move out. He's not happy with what's going on at United, and we're going to end up seeing him leave in the January transfer window. So rather than us going out and signing players, it's more likely that we're going to end up losing Zertsky and Kobbie Mainoo in the January transfer window. Massive problems ahead if that actually happens. Joseph, welcome to the show. My name is Joseph from Nigeria. Smaller teams are the problem to Manchester United. Yeah, that's what I've just said. I was saying that, Joseph. I don't know whether you caught that, but we've got a lineup. We've got these teams coming up. We've got Everton, we've got Crystal Palace, we've got West Ham, we've got Bournemouth, and then we've got Villa. And when you're looking at these teams, I know they're not going to be easy games. I see it and I think, look, this is not easy. Everton at home, you don't know what to expect. You really don't. I mean, there's not one game in there apart from maybe Wolves. I look at and think, oh, that surely is a straightforward game. But then even that isn't. And no game for United currently is a straightforward game. But that's not... I don't look at United and think that's United's fault. I just look at the Premier League and I realise that, look, this is what you call the most competitive league in the world. This is why so many people from around the world watch the Premier League, because it is competitive. It's not just one or two games, two teams that are just worth watching. It's not just like the two top teams in the league, like we see in La Liga or in the Bundesliga or even in League One, where we see there's literally two teams in each league that are the ones that are competing against each other for the title each year, and it's bloody boring. It's awful. It's awful. I mean, can you imagine being a fan of, say, Sevilla or something, or Atletico Madrid or whatever, and you're watching Barcelona, Real Madrid, one or the other winning the league. Same thing across in the Bundesliga. Imagine being a fan of, I don't know, Stuttgart or something, or whatever, maybe not Stuttgart, but yeah, any other team than Bayern Munich and, say, Borussia Dortmund, or maybe not Borussia Dortmund now, but I mean, who was it? Leverkusen. But it's the same thing. The same teams end up winning the league. And of course, in League One in France, you've got PSG and PSG only. I mean, that's it. It's PSG every year. And there's no that. It's just bloody boring. Premier League, on the other hand, every game. I mean, look at the table right now. I mean, Sunderland up there, Bournemouth up there. This is the difference with the Premier League. Every team is cooking. Every team is a difficult game. So United, no game is an easy. There's no easy running anymore. Every game you've got to be at your best to perform. But anyway, let's round up the weekend's games, because that's what this show's about as well. We're just not just discussing United exclusively. We're going to go through the weekend's fixtures and discuss who did what was the score, so we can bring everyone up to score with up to date, shall we say, with everything that's gone on around the Premier League, and then just see. I mean, we can then see the next game is against Everton. They were playing against Fulham this weekend at home, and they won 2-0. Let me see if I can bring this up actually, because there we go. You can see it. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah. So we got United, who drew against Spurs in that early kickoff. So that was again, looking back at it, I think it was a decent result. Yes, we could have won. It would have been really good if we won. But Spurs have been playing well. They're up there as well. And I think we're going to look back at that draw and say, look, that was a very good draw. So let's just hold fire on that one. Everton won against Fulham 2-0. They're looking like a team now, slowly improving now, and under David Moyes. And yeah, it's not going to be an easy game against Everton. Then we got West Ham, who will also be playing in the next 5 games, and they won 3-2 against Burnley. And then Sunderland, the surprise of the weekend for me, 2-2 against Arsenal. I said it again when I was watching Sunderland play, and I was doing the watch along, and a few Sunderland fans jumped on the watch along, which was surprising for me. But look, I was happy they joined us, and they were chatting to me whilst we were doing the watch along together, and they were saying how good Sunderland were playing, and look how there's a proper unity there, and they were surprised that United did them over so easily. And now looking at Sunderland, I mean, you look at them and think, whoa, we actually played really well then. We had a very good game against Sunderland, and Sunderland drawing 2-2 against Arsenal. I think they deserved it. They played really well. Then we've got Chelsea, who are firing. They've played against Wolves, and that was a 3-0 for Chelsea. We're playing Wolves again in the next 5 games. So yeah, that's pretty good for us, I'm hoping. But Chelsea winning, not so good. Then we got Villa against Bournemouth, 4-0 to Villa. That's a surprising result for me. I didn't think it was going to be that clear. I thought it was going to be a very tight game, and I thought just maybe we're going to probably get a tight game, maybe a 1-1 or something. I was hoping for a 1-1. I was actually hoping for all the teams to draw this weekend. That would have been the best result for United. Everyone after United drawing would have been brilliant, because that means nothing changes. So it's we've not suffered as a result of getting a draw. But anyway, Brentford won 3-1 against Newcastle. Newcastle got a player sent off as well. Great result for them. Brilliant. They've come back firing, so that's really good. Crystal Palace drew against Brighton 0-0. Tight game, tight affair. Good game, but I think that's perfect result for us. Perfect result for us. And then Forest won 3-1 against Leeds. Good game for them. And then I'd say the game of the weekend was Man City against Liverpool. Everyone was looking forward to this game. I watched it. I was thinking, right, okay, this is going to be a cracker. Obviously, the best result would have been a 1-1 draw or a 0-0. But there was going to always be goals in this game, right? We always knew there's too much attacking force on both sides to not score any goals, but clearly Liverpool didn't score any goals. They were firing on blanks today, and Man City got the win, and they were comfortable all the way through the game. There was some controversy as well surrounding a few decisions and VAR decisions, but whatever not. But look, it was clear as day. City were the better team, and City demolished Liverpool. And look, for me, that tells you how difficult this league is. Liverpool, how much did they spend during the summer transfer window? Can that is what they should be crying about. I mean, those are the fans. Liverpool fans are the ones who should be crying, saying, look, these signings are not good enough, and we've spent all this money and not improved. We have gone from 15th, guys, and we've started improving. We've brought in players that have definitely made a difference, have certainly improved our team, whether it's Kuna, Mbumo and Sesko. So we need to stick together and just keep things in perspective. we need to keep things in perspective and know that we are playing good football. And every team that's facing us is saying the same thing. United are a difficult team to play against. We're no longer that team that just crumbles. In the opening of this show, when Jim, I think you said it, Jim, you said it, I think in one of the comments on the other videos, where you said, look, last season, this same team, under the same circumstances, we would have absolutely lost our heads when we went down 2-1 against Spurs. We would definitely not have come back. We would have just simply given up. But that coming back, sending Sonny Lemons up for the corner, everything just now points to how this team has started believing. How this team have started believing that, no, we can still carry on. We can still go and get a draw and get a point. We're not going to get lost. We're not going to let someone else beat us. And I love that whole ethos. Jim says international football is boring and will kill our momentum. I am happy we are still unbeaten for 4 games, but we need to stop drawing and win some. Yeah. First of all, international football boring is an understatement. I mean, sometimes when obviously, you know, during the international break, you've got nothing to do and you think, right, I might as well turn it on. Let me just see what's going on, and it might be enjoyable. I might get to see someone, and oh god, I mean, you're better off watching paint dry. That's how boring it is watching it, and there's no atmosphere as well. I find it really difficult to get into. I really do. For me, I just feel like, yeah, the momentum does get spoilt for us, and we're on a good run here. We're on a good run, and I don't want anything to kind of disrupt that right now. And going off on international duty for me is a disruption. For me, it's something that we don't really want. You know, you're risking all your players who are fully fit. Everyone bar Sesko is now coming back. We're all happy, and I just feel like, shit, you know, we're going to struggle. And if we'd kind of got a few more games played in this international period, we would probably have less games during the December period, and we won't miss Mbumo and Mbumo and Adam Dama and Mazraoui as much, because we'll probably have less games. But because we're squeezing all them games into that short period of time is where I think the problems lie. I think playing so many games back to back during December is not easy. Oh yeah, so you did. Yeah, it was you, Jim, who said that. Yeah, so yeah, look, overall, I'm happy with what happened yesterday, but I also agree that we do need to start turning these draws into wins, or we're gonna end up regretting them. But I think it's more to do with our defensive work rate than it is to do with our attack. I feel like attacking wise, we're getting the goals. We've improved from last year. I feel like we've not improved defensively. I feel like defensively we've gone backwards. We need to start making sure we get some clean sheets. The defense isn't doing well enough, and I think the midfield is the problem. The midfield is not controlling games, and defensively, midfield is where our problems lie. And we're going round in circle, aren't we? We start the show with how we've got issues in the middle of the pitch, and we come back round and spend all that time and come back exactly the same spot. We need new midfielders. We need them. It's not even a question of, yeah, we can maybe survive another month or two, or even after January, maybe even the entire season without a midfielder. We'll be here complaining about the same thing at the end of the season if we do not go out there and sign anybody. We're gonna end up losing out in a Champions League spot. That's why it makes such a big difference, and that's why when Dave was asking, look, what budget do you think we've got? I know that the owners, or the Jim Ratcliffe, forget the Glazers, but Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos know that to qualify for the Champions League, they're going to have to spend a serious amount of money to bring in reinforcements in the January transfer window. And then it's the question of how much revenue do we generate by qualifying for the Champions League and playing in the Champions League next season, and does that equate to the spending that we're going to put in, or the money that we're going to put in to buy in these new players. And that's why it makes sense for United to go and spend as much as required to go and bring in those midfielders. So I think if the right player comes along from those three, like we've been mentioning, Blaber, Anderson and Wharton, if they become available and they're up for grabs in the January transfer window, United will pull the stops out and go and get them. So it's looking positive. But I think the only problem we've got now is that United not only might be looking for a midfielder, but they will also be looking for a striker. They'll also be looking for a striker. So watch this space. It's going to be big fireworks all over the place in January. It's going to be crazy. If it wasn't for Lemons, we would have lost 4-2. Yeah, I mean, the saves that he made in the first half, and then he's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I think, yeah, look, we know what's lacking in this team. It's the same with Onana. We were complaining about Onana. We were saying, oh, look, Onana's not playing well enough. We need a new goalkeeper. We need a new goalkeeper. We were literally every game we were like, we need a new goalkeeper. We need a new goalkeeper. And finally we got one, and look at the difference it's made. These are the small little things, the small little differences that once we bring in new players that they make, it completely changes the way we play. So once we get that midfielder, we will be loving watching United play. We will be loving United. I think there's a lot of positive news coming our way if we can just go out there and sign the right midfielder. Guys, I'm going to call it a day there. I hope you have had a lovely weekend. I hope you enjoyed all the football. Of course, we didn't get the result we wanted, but it wasn't as bad as a loss. We are still undefeated in the last 5 games. It's still positive. We've still got something to look forward to. We've got the international break. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more news. Of course, United and news never stops coming. There's always going to be news about this or that. So we're going to, of course, bring you up to date with everything there. And if there's anything else that comes our way, of course, we will bring it to you. Dave says, will you be at the Red Devil United? Is that the tonight? Is he doing a live stream? I don't get invited. I asked him last time to that I literally forced myself on the show, to be honest with you. I said to him, look, he's a nice fella anyway, but I said to him, look, I'll join you tonight and we'll discuss United and stuff. And then so I kind of joined him, but since then I've not had a chance to speak with him. But if he messages me and stuff, of course I join on and stuff, and because I love chatting with everyone. I mean having the fans there and just chatting away and discussing United I love it. I can speak for hours and hours and hours about United. I love it because there's so much to talk about, so much controversy, so much things to discuss. Everyone's got an opinion, and that's the best thing. And not everyone has to agree, and that's also I love about football. Not everyone, and this modern era of football and fans is just crazy for me, because I remember a time when you'd sit with my friends of Man United fans, everyone, and we'd discuss players, and I'd say I think Rooney's brilliant, and the next man would say I don't think Rooney's good, and next man would say Tevez is brilliant, and I'd say I don't think Tevez is committed to the club, and but we wouldn't kick off about it. We'd have a heated debate about it, but we would never fall out about it, would we? It would just be a matter of opinions. And as Man United fans, we all have opinions. I mean, there'd be some fans who'd agree, say Ferdinand's better than Vidic and Vidic is better. So we'd have that argument. We'd have arguments about whether Barthez is a good enough keeper and things like that. But you know what I'm coming from, don't you? We all have opinions about players. So, right now, currently, when you hear someone like, so for me, Dalot is not my preferred option as a player. I mean, I wouldn't have him on the first team. As a backup player, maybe, but I wouldn't have him as coming on. I mean, I wouldn't even have him at the club, to be honest with you. But if someone comes along and says, no, I love Dalot and I think he's a brilliant player, I'm not going to completely rule that person out, am I? That's his opinion. That's a fan, and he's entitled to his opinion. And if he feels Dalot is good, I'll listen to him. I'll listen to what his take is on Dalot and what he has to offer. And if he makes some good points, I'll take them on board. and I'll let him know why I feel like Dalot isn't a good player. But you don't walk away saying, I don't agree with you and I'm not going to speak to you ever again and things like that. It's just a matter of opinion, and we've got to all remain united. We've got to all focus on the same thing. We all want the best. We all want United to win, and we've got to all realise that. We've got to all realise that we all want the best for Man United. We all want the Glazers out. We all want this club to succeed, and we all want the glory days to arrive back quicker than we want. Okay, so that's all it is. So that is it for today's show, guys. Please hit the like if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the subscribe. If you share, please share it out to other United fans. But that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. See you later. Thank you for everybody, for all the comments, everybody. Jim, Dave, of course, all of you guys, thank you very much. Take care.